Hello, this video will show you how to take digital notes using the original method. So the first thing you need to do is find a source, and you're going to find all of the databases are accessible through Launchpad. So the first place that I'm going to go is to Library Resources. These are all of the databases available to you as a student, and they are in alphabetical order. So you can use the icons to help you. If you hover over them, you can see that the full name of the database pops up, so that can also help you make a decision for which database you need to go to. I'm going to go to Gale Power Search just to find an example article to use. So I'm going to search for my terms in here, and then I will select an article. Okay, so I have an article here to use as an example. So I have one tab open to the database, and I'm going to go back to Launchpad, close the library resources, and I'm going to go to Reagan Library. It has the white background with the black tree. And if you go to Campus Resources, you will find a link to a Google Doc that you'll use for the digital note-taking form. So I've already logged in to my NEISD Google account, so it'll open for me. If you've logged in with your personal Gmail account, it is not going to open. It has to be your NEISD account in order to access the document. So it's opened, but before you can type on it, you have to make a copy. So you'll go to File and make a copy. Do not leave it titled Copy of RRHS Digital Note Taking, because you're going to have several copies of this document because you need one for each source. So just depending on how many sources are required by your teacher will determine how many digital notes you need. But each source gets its own note sheet. So I'm searching about the Great Depression, and I'm going to title it Great Depression Notes 1. I'm going to go ahead and close the other copy. That's the original, and this is what I'm going to type on. So my topic is the Great Depression and farming. All right, the rest of the information is all going to come from my article. So back to my article, I need to find my citation information. So each database is slightly different, but they all have some kind of indication for citation tools or cite or something to indicate that that is where you get your citation. So I want the MLA most recent edition, which this one gives me the 8th edition. All you'll need to do for right now is copy it. Whoops, I missed the J. Okay, so you're going to copy it. I'm going to push Control-C to copy, close, and then go back to your Great Depression notes and paste that, Control-V to paste. And then because it copied with a highlight, I would go ahead and remove that highlighting, no highlighting, okay? So for right now, this is your citation that you got from your database. Sometimes your teacher will want your MLA citation to be formatted with a hanging indentation in your notes, or sometimes they will want it in your paper. So they will give you that information. So next it asks for direct notes, and it says that this is the information taken directly from your source. So I would go through my article, and as I read through the article, look for information that you think is the most helpful and the most useful, the most important to your topic, to what you're writing about. And these are going to be big chunks of information. So it might be whole paragraphs or multiple paragraphs. Sometimes you might even find that it's the entire source. So I'm just going to pull a few paragraphs as an example. Whoop. Again, Control-C to copy, and then over here, Control-V to paste. And then anything that you thought was important enough to include in your direct notes, you would then need to paraphrase or summarize in step 5. So you're going to type your own summary or paraphrase of the direct notes here. Now, because your notes are your own words, or your summarization or your paraphrase are your own words, they are not your own ideas. So you have to give credit to the person whose ideas those were. And so Jackson is the author of this article, so his name would go in parentheses at the end of your citation. If a page number is given, then a page number would go after his last name. So when you go to write your paper, you could possibly use this paraphrase in your paper because you've given credit to the author. Now, if there is no author, then the citation would begin with the title, and the title is what would go in your parenthetical citation. But because this one gives us an author, we're able to use the author's last name. Okay, next are the direct quotes. Direct quotes are parts of the text from your notes that you could potentially use as textual evidence in your research paper. So as you're reading, you might find something that clearly answers a question you're trying to answer. Maybe it includes statistics that you need to quote directly, or maybe it's something that is phrased, just perfectly, and you would want to use part of that in your writing. You must cite the author. So it's almost like you're building a word bank of quotes that you could potentially use in your paper. And after each of those quotes, you have to cite the author. So I'm going to pull just one sentence as an example. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it here. Now remember, this is a direct quote. So it gets quotation marks and the author's last name, and then the period goes outside the parentheses. So, you might have one quote, you might have 5 quotes, you might have 8 quotes. It really just depends on how useful the source is. One problem, though, we often see is that students do not have enough direct notes. If you don't have enough direct notes, there's not enough information to pull as a source. So you've got to make sure you have enough notes. All right, so I'm kind of cleaning it up to get ready to print. Granted, as we go through here, notice that the notes are big chunks of information. The paraphrase or summarization should be reflective of how long your notes are. And then your direct quotes come exactly from the direct notes. So here are some reminders for you to make sure that you've given each source its own note sheet, that you have the complete MLA citation, and that you've been careful to paraphrase to avoid plagiarizing. So the last step is to highlight the last 2 boxes. 8 tells you to delete those boxes. If you delete them, to highlight them, right-click and delete those 2 rows. They will disappear. And then you're ready to print. Do not just quick print. You have to file print in order for them to print properly to the network printers. Digital notes are always free to print unless you print pages you don't need. So make sure you delete those unnecessary boxes and only print what you need. So I'm going to pull up right now an example of a fully completed digital note. So this is an example from a student in the past. So you can see her topic was, or her full research question was, how did the Great Depression affect Southern farmers and what was their financial situation? She has her works cited information and an MLA citation with a hanging indention. She has her direct notes here from her source, the big chunks of important information. She has summarized that information and given credit with the title, because notice that her citation begins with a title, not an author. Then she has pulled 2 direct quotes. She needs a space right here. But she has 2 direct quotes from her notes, and she has given credit to the text from which it came. And then she's ready to print. Okay, I hope you find this helpful.